So everybody here has a funnel. You just probably haven't mapped it out. You are losing revenue at each of these touch points and you don't even realize it.
It actually needs to be packaged up.
It's not what you serve, it's how you serve it.
And we need to sell the call before we can sell the actual thing on the call.
A funnel is a series of micro yeses, not a big knockout punch.
Alicia, I am so excited to be hanging out with you. I have so many questions for you. Selfish questions a little bit, but also some questions that I think our audience are going to really want to know. Can you give people like a really quick kind of 60-second rundown of who you are and what you do?
Yes, so my name's Alicia Conlin-Hurd and I co-founded an agency called Persuasion Experience. We work with service-based businesses, usually doing under $5 million, and we help them to scale their business, usually to double their revenue. Now, how do we do this? It's through ads and funnels, but I guess that's what all agency bros do, right? Is some ads and some landing pages and such. So what makes us a little bit different is that I have built and launched over 600 different funnels and landing pages and offers in over 120 different markets. So I built out, if you know King Kong, that agency, their sales funnel and CRO team from scratch, and did like 400 projects while I was there. And then I worked at Founder, if you know Founder magazine, and I built out their sales funnel and CRO team from scratch. So we have this proven predictable system called the lead machine system, and we help our clients to figure out who their target market is, why they buy, and to create offers and funnels to generate qualified leads.
Like, that's a really good way to introduce yourself. I just feel like immediately I'm like, oh my gosh, she knows her stuff. She's a wizard.
Just so everyone knows, I didn't wake up and know that. I've been practicing that for 3 years. I'm so glad I finally nailed it then. Sick. Moving on. I have
Alicia,
a video on my YouTube and it's like how to get it. I did it, nailed it.
The world of funnels can feel a little bit like everyone's trying to crack the perfect funnel, right? Everyone's trying to figure out the ad that's going to lead to the landing page and the landing page that converts like crazy. And then the offer that they sell off the back of it. Everyone's trying to figure out how to do this and like land on this perfect funnel. But I would love to kind of zoom out and like, I would love to get your kind of definition of what a funnel actually is, so that from the beginning of this conversation, people have context of like, okay, what are we actually talking about here?
What's the common misconception with a funnel, right? A lot of people see Russell Brunson, like the OG Papa Daddy of the funnels, and they kind of think funnel equals ClickFunnels equals internet marketer. But here's the thing, like if you have a business, you have a funnel. A funnel's not optional, right? In my opinion, in my definition, a funnel is just every single touch point that somebody has with your business. Okay. So instead of trying to figure out whether you need like a quiz funnel or a book a call funnel or all these things, that starts to shift it more to who is the person, where are they in their buyer's journey, and how do I guide them down to the business's goal? So the thing when we start to think about, okay, so everybody here has a funnel. You just probably haven't mapped it out. It's every touch point. And I think of it as you've got the funnel to get a lead, you've got the funnel to get a sale, and then you have the funnel in terms of the client experience. So it's not really a linear line. It's more like a sphere of influence going on. And the thing that is really important, just to full stop this definition, is that these little touch points, they can be little leaks, yeah? And then little leaks will sink big ships. So if you're not mapping out and optimizing this funnel with this new definition, you are losing revenue at each of these touch points and you don't even realize it.
I love what you said about a funnel is not optional. So true. And we all have a funnel. It just might not be a very good one right now. And so it's like, okay, well, how do we get a funnel that actually drives the business objective? And you've mentioned the 3 funnels. So we've got the funnel to get a lead. Talk to me about what is the most commonly like simple funnel to get a lead. Let's say, because all our folks are creatives, they're all service providers, which really aligns with what you do. What do you think is the most basic way for us to build out the funnel for a lead?
So if the objective is a lead, and a lead, let's define a lead and say it's a booked call, right? That's what we want. We want people who want to talk to us as creatives and agencies and service-based providers. That's the ultimate goal. Now, the first thing that you do have to think about before you think about the funnel is the traffic source, because each traffic source has a different temperature. So for example, and we're thinking of the funnel as touch points, if your funnel is coming off of Instagram, That's very different to if your funnel's coming off of Meta ads. So, for example, for YouTube or Instagram or Meta ads, I'll give you one that you could potentially use for all of them. So I don't give you a classic marketer answer and say it depends. I'll actually answer your question. One of the first marketers ever. You're welcome. So here's the answer. What we want to have at the top of the funnel and what we find works really, really well is you can just start with this, minimum viable. Always start minimum viable. So we'll start with a VSL, video sales letter, and it can just be 8 to 12 minutes. And then you want to have pretty much you'll go through a case study and you want to show your proprietary system. Now we can get into these because there's ingredients that make a funnel. I'm going to mention a few now so you can dive into them if you'd like to. But we have that video. People opt in for this video, then they watch the video, and then all of us, like everybody listening, me and you, all I know for me, the main thing is there's either coaching, people want help, or they don't want to do it themselves. So for us as an agency, people don't want to do it themselves, right? It's like, hey, so what you want to do is like educate them on the system. You want to show you have a proven, repeatable system. So for us, it's our lead machine system. There's 3 steps: find, convert, nurture. I show a bunch of proof and people are like, gee whiz, can you do that for me? I'm sure they say gee whiz in their mind. Gee whiz, can you do that for me? And then what happens is they literally just click in to book a call. Now, when we're creating this book a call funnel, here's what most people get wrong, because we have to get a lead before we can get before we can get a sale, right? But most people click the offer or they have no offer. So there's no value to become a lead with you. And so that is the missing piece that most people are missing in any of their funnels or anything that they do. They build no value around the phone call. So the big thing that we do with all of our clients is how do we build value around that phone call so that because people are always thinking, so what? Who cares? What's in it for me? That we can show them that they're going to get something out of that. They're going to be better off even if they don't buy from us. So how can we provide value at that offer?
Yes. And I think that's such a good point that a lot of people, they don't dress up the call. And so they don't realize that the call itself is a little mini offer. And so it actually needs to be packaged up and we need to sell the call before we can sell the actual thing on the call. And a lot of people, they'll position it as it's a discovery call. And that's like, well, like we all know what that is. It's a sales call. So I love that idea of how do we package that call up so that they're getting value either way, whether they buy or whether they don't.
And most people give immense value on those calls by default. And so for everybody who's listening now, just think it's usually in your proposal. You usually come up with a strategy and you usually give something to somebody. So you might call it like when you're creating the title of your offer, you want to think what's that dream outcome and how can you show them that the offer is going to help them? What's the tangible thing you're going to give them? And then what are 3 bullets? So those bullets might be the pain you eradicate or the benefit or the questions that you answer. But it all just comes back to knowing your target market, right? If you don't know your target market and their language, nothing will work at all in your marketing.
Yeah, and this is so true. And we've played with different names for our calls. So initially we called it a clarity call, then we called it a marketing brainstorm, and then now we call it a scale session. But the interesting thing is the call name denotes the value. And we found when we called it a marketing brainstorm, what did we get? Brain pickers, because we called it a brainstorm. And so we were like, no, we're not going to call it that anymore because that's not what it is. And yes, there's loads of value in that call, but we don't want it to feel like it's a 15-minute free coaching call. We want it to feel like this is a call where we're going to help you to determine the next steps. And so knowing the language that people use is so powerful because we know what you're saying about knowing your customer is so important because we know the language that our people use because we're in the DMs with them. They're responding to emails. We're having conversations with them. What they say on the sales call, we get feedback from our team going, oh, people keep saying they want this. They keep using this word. They use the word overwhelmed. They say that they want a plan. And all of a sudden we've got like a little hit list of messaging and language that is actually their own words, which is so powerful.
So powerful. And here's how I think about it, right? Marketing's just inputs and outputs. Garbage in, garbage out. And so if you've ever it's good being an Aussie podcast. If you've ever cooked your marketing and it didn't work, it's in one of these phases. So we go idea into research, into strategy, into execution, and then you have the flywheel. So you ship it, you analyze and learn, and you adjust. If something's not working, it's in one of those stages. Usually it's in the research. You've put garbage in at the research stage and it's flowed down. Now the strategy isn't right because your research was wrong. Doesn't matter how pretty your page is, you got the research wrong. Doesn't matter if you ship and launch it properly, you got the research wrong. So knowing your target market is that number one input to get anything right in your marketing.
Oh, that's so powerful. That's really, really cool. So the first funnel, you've mentioned VSL, which for anyone listening is a video sales letter. And in that, you've got this, you're selling this framework and this system. You're stacking all of this social proof. You've got case studies, all the things. And then, so someone has to opt in to view the VSL. Is that right?
Yes. So somebody will opt in, which will be on an opt-in page. It's kind of hard when I'm just painting a picture with mouth words. So everyone, unless you're driving, close your eyes and really go on an adventure with me here. But we have an opt-in page that sells the value of the training. Remembering that every point of your marketing, we're just selling the next step. A funnel is a series of micro yeses, not a big knockout punch. So on this opt-in page, we're not like, hey, nice to meet you, and then clubbing them over the head and dragging them back to our cage to sell them something, right? It's like, hey, nice to meet you. I've got this training, opt in. Okay, now they're on the training. Hey, nice to meet you. I have this strategy session, opt in. On the sales call, hey, nice to meet you. I sell this thing, buy it. And so it's these micro yeses throughout the funnel that we're looking for.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. That's so cool.
So now we have the lead booked in. What's next? We're now switching into the sales choreography. I call this the sales choreography, right? This is everything that's going to happen between when somebody officially becomes a booked lead and when they become a client. Now, your lead to sales time might be 1 week and it might be 1 year. It can depend on your industry and what you do. What I'm going to share is what I do in my business is in terms of the sales process. I have a sales background. I started in cold calling when I was young, bloody loved it. And then I've done a lot of agency sales and I do all of our agency sales. So I've closed like maybe nearly 2 million in the last 2 and a bit years personally by myself. So I'm pretty sure this stuff works. So I'll tell you what I'm doing. And I've coached a lot of people.
You love cold calling? I've never heard anyone say that before.
So do you know what this is a quick side tangent. If I get lost, take me back to the sales funnel. But I'm a country gal. So I grew up in a little country town called Denali, and there's like 800 people there, no traffic lights, tiny. I moved to the next town over, Bendigo, and I had a bit of a gap year. And I had to get a job, so I started in a call center. And I don't even know what sales is, right? I worked in a fish and chip shop. I know souvlaki's and pizzas and deep fryers, not what a sales person is. And I was like, yeah, cool, that sounds fun. I love talking, if you don't know yet. And so as it turned out, I was really good at it. And I was like one of the top people every single week. But when I've been asked this on other podcasts and people have gone, oh, why do you think you enjoyed it? Well, the problem is most people see sales as something icky and sleazy and wrong. But ever since I started in sales when I was 19, back doing cold calling, I always saw sales as servitude, as helping people, as problem solving. And so if I couldn't help somebody, like I was sitting people down and they were telling me about their bills and we were changing their bills to Origin Energy before I'd even paid a bill in my life. All it was are your rates better? Yes or no? If yes, it's my responsibility to sell you and convince you and persuade you because I can help you to save money. If no, to kiss the fish, catch and release, put it back into the river. So that is cold calling. Now, what do I do now? I don't cold call. Instead, this is my new sales system that we run. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that every single touch point is set up in this sales system and everybody can action this today. So somebody's booked in with you, but now there's going to be what I call dead time before they're going to talk to you. So the first thing that you're going to set up is something called a pre-swayed flow. What does that mean? So we pre-swayed them like the Cialdini book, persuasion. So most people do nothing, or maybe they send like really boring reminders. But those emails are an opportunity to, one, stop no-shows, to build anticipation and excitement, and to start obliterating objections. So start to think about, okay, when I'm on my sales calls, what annoying questions do people have? What don't people understand? What should I, like, what sort of social proof do people love? And you want to have those in those emails. They're not super long, but you might want to answer FAQs in one email, or you might want to send a case study that's relevant to their industry or whatever. That's those emails. Taking it one step back, just quickly, once somebody books in with you, you want to send them to a proper thank you page. Now, the thank you page is like the ugly little like step-headed child that no one cares about in their funnel, and it's the most underutilized page. So what you might get in your sales calls is people saying, oh, I don't really understand what you do, or like, can you help me? You don't want that sort of shit on the calls. You want them to come knowing what's going on. So on your thank you page, here's a very quick overview of how to create one. The headline is, congratulations, you're one step closer to dream outcome, the input of the dream outcome. You have successfully booked your call. Here's what happens next. Watch this quick video. In that video, it could just go for 5 minutes. Just say, hey, it's Laura here. I'm really excited to speak with you on your call. As a reminder, this is going to be the value, X, Y, Z. If you aren't familiar with what I do, hear a little bit more about what I do, and here's some case studies and some testimonials, and then you'll just roll the tape. You can imagine the quality of the lead who's watched that versus who just books in a random meeting with you. So thank you page and pre-suade.
You're so right that the thank you page is the most underrated page, and it's such a missed opportunity. So a lot of the time, let's say you're using Calendly, if you're listening to this, using Calendly, a lot of the time it'll just redirect to a little Calendly thing that just says you're booked. And then it'll do a Calendly automated flow that's like, reminder, you have this call at this time. It's like it's like a doctor sending you reminders for your appointment, right? So it's like really boring. So that thank you page is the little injection of, you're still kind of selling the call in a way. Like, you're still making them excited about, you've just done this thing. Here's why you should show up. And so it's like this kind of really important piece of real estate that makes it, I think that pre-suade thing is such a cool way to think about it. Love that. And then you've got the pre-suade flow, which is just about getting them to come to the call kind of hot. And they're like, oh my gosh, like, you've given me social proof. You've answered my questions. You've handled my objections. It's a different energy on that sales call, right?
Yeah, and it positions you as an authority. Think about all the boring, crappy sales processes people go through. What we're trying to do is create an experience, always creating an experience. And I'll talk about that a bit more if we get into the fulfillment side of the funnel. So to close off the thank you page, the takeaways are, congratulate and future pace them. Have a video that gets them excited, and then have one or two other next steps. The best time to get them to do something else psychologically is when they just did something, right? Now, the reason why we never say thank you on a thank you page is because it shifts the frame. It shifts the frame and it makes them seem like that they've just done something for you instead of you doing something for them. Well, that is not the mindset you want them coming in for, right? So I know it's like a bit dumb because I call it a thank you page, and it's really more of a F yeah, you're going to have a sick call page, but nobody knows what I mean. So it's a thank you page, but don't say thank you.
That's such a good point. That's really, really powerful. The thing about choreography and the thing about, you think about music and you think about songs that you love, there's a rhythm, there's a like kind of cadence and a flow to it, and there's a melody. And I think that thing of going, we want it to feel like, cool, so you've watched this VSL, you've booked a call because you want this solution, awesome. Now you're one step closer to this outcome. Cool, where are we going to go next? And like, we want it to feel like we're shifting them along. It's like a song that kind of goes nowhere. No one wants to listen to the end. We've got to it's got to have that flow and that melody and that rhythm to it. I think that's where we can really have the magic here.
Exactly. And that is a beautiful segue into the next piece of this funnel, which is your script, right? I don't really call it a script, it's more of a flow, but we want to think of the first call flow. Now, a lot of people, and especially people in sales, they have an allergic reaction to flows or scripts, but that's wrong. You always want to have a system or a guideline that you want to be taken through. So for my script, and I'm going to keep it super simple, this is all we need to do. Step 1, say hello, build rapport. What I always do is I always check out people's stuff. I do my research before the call. So I'll be like, hey, Laura, I saw that you were just featured in, hey, how you going? I saw you just featured in this article. That's really awesome. How'd you do that? Blah, blah, blah. And I go, awesome. Next thing is you need to control the frame and set the agenda. So what you don't want to happen is for someone to come in and go, oh yeah, blah, blah, blah. Thanks for coming on the call. Because they've taken control of the frame. So we don't want them to have control of the frame. So straight away, we want to say, awesome, Laura, appreciate you jumping on this call. On today's call, I've done blah, blah, blah before the call. Today, I want to ask you some more questions to better understand your business, your goals, and your challenges. By the end of this call, either Persuasion Experience is going to be a good fit to help you to double your revenue. I ask questions in the form, so I know what they want when they book in, to double your revenue and to beat out X-competitor. And so if we are, I'll tell you a little bit more about that at the end. Even if we're not, I'll make sure that I give you plenty of, maybe it'll be solicited or unsolicited advice. You can decide, but I'll make sure I give you plenty of value of how to grow your business based on my experience working with over 600 different clients in over 120 niches. Does that sound good? Okay. So you can see I've dropped a little bit of social proof in there, and then I'm getting my first yes, my first positive thing. Does that sound good? Yes. Awesome. First question. So then I get into my questions. And basically the number one thing that you're doing on this call is to uncover their problem. That's it. That's all you're trying to do. Because businesses, we all exist to solve problems. If you can't solve their problem, they should not be your client. No scarcity mindset, no just selling stuff because we're worried about where the next sale's coming from. If you can't solve their problem, do not sell them. But a lot of us are scared to lean in and ask the hard questions. So if I don't understand something, I'll just be like, hey, you might have already said this, but just to be clear, is this the problem? Like, is this what you want to achieve? Is this what you want to get out of it? Different questions you can ask is, what's the biggest challenge you're having right now when it comes to blah? Or I always ask, because I want to set expectations on this call as well. I don't want any red flag clients, crazy. So I'll say, if you could wave a magic wand, how could an agency come in and help you? And then people tell me. So you ask your questions at the end of the call. If it's a good fit, then I do BANT: budget, authority, need, and time. So I'll say, awesome, Laura, it sounds like we're a really good fit. Just to mirror back what you're saying, it sounds like you want to solve this goal and you want to achieve this dream outcome. We can definitely help with that. Would you like me to tell you a bit more about how that would work with us? Yes, I would. Awesome. Thank you, Laura. So then I would tell them a little bit more. And then at the end of the call, I'd say, does that sound like something that you're looking for? Yes, it does. Awesome. Okay. When are you looking to get something like this started? That's the T, the time and BANT. Oh, I'm looking to get started in the next month. Awesome. Okay. So what I would normally do from here is I would book in a second call. Side note, I'm coming out of the method acting. You always want to book the next call while you're on this call. That's a big mistake people make. Don't put the fish back out into the water and no second call. So we book the second call. How's this time on Tuesday? Yep, awesome. So Laura, what's going to happen between now and then is I'm going to send you through your game plan to help you to achieve dream outcome. You're going to get that in a proposal and a Loom video so that you understand everything prior to us talking to each other. Does that sound good? Yes, it does. Okay, great. Two last questions. Number one, is there anybody else that needs to be on that call with us? Any other decision makers? That's the authority. If yes, you get them on the call. You're asking this because people might say, oh yeah, actually my CEO, he makes all the decisions. And I'm going to tell you why that's important, because you need to know this stuff. And then you ask budget. Okay, so to work with us, Laura, I just want to let you know the investment before we move forward. It does start from $3,000 a month. And the investment in the lead machine is going to start from $5,000 to $20,000. Does that sound like something that you had budgeted to solve this solution? Yes, it does. Awesome. We're booked in. There we go. What I want to be clear on is that do not book people in and do not send proposals unless they're ready. Don't waste your time. So unless it's a good vibe and they're ready to move to the next stage, never send a proposal to somebody who is not ready to move to the next stage. And BANT, budget, authority, need, and time is how you figure that out. You can jump on another call. So if somebody said, oh, my CEO, like, great, before I send a proposal, let's get on a call with your CEO, blah, blah, blah. If they go, no, they want to see the proposal, awesome, I'm going to send it. What's their email so I can CC them in and add them into the calendar? Okay, anyway, end scene. That is the sales choreography up to the call. Then I send the proposal, have the next call, close them, SLA, invoice, starts the next part of the funnel.
This is so good. And I feel like for anyone listening to this, you might be unconsciously doing some of these things. So like Alicia said, you might be building rapport straight up, and maybe you're going in to uncover the problem, but maybe you don't have a flow or a structure for this. Or maybe you've realized, you know what, I'm letting the lead kind of dictate how the call goes. They come in and they just start asking questions and I'm not controlling the frame or setting the agenda. So if you're listening to this or watching this, I want you to think about, okay, of these stages in this flow, where could I improve? And the thing that I love about how you're doing this, Alicia, is you are leading the whole thing. Like you're leading it, but you're also letting them feel in control at certain points. So does that sound good? If they said no, then you'd probably be like, okay, well, like, where should we go from here? So like you're actually letting them
weird flex.
Yeah. The internet's breaking up. I gotta go. You might just like bail out. But like you're leading the conversation, but you're not monologuing either. So you're leading, but you're throwing to them to to confirm, to like kind of get there, make sure they're comfortable with how everything feels so far. I love that kind of, and I actually think that takes a bit of confidence too, Alicia, like to go, a lot of people, they talk too much on sales calls. And I think it's because they're not confident that if they throw to the prospect, that they'll be able to get the conversation back on track. Like they're just like, oh my gosh, this prospect might go completely AWOL and like go somewhere on a complete tangent and I won't be able to get them back. How do you deal when people go, they talk to you, like the prospect talks too much, or you don't know how to regain the control if it feels like you're losing control?
Because I'm probably one of those leads that really take the talking stick and run with it. So here's how you would deal with someone like me that would just get real chatty. First of all, some people get a bit worried about coming into these calls and like not talking, but you just tell them what you do. As long as they understand what you do, the whole point of asking these questions, it's a diagnostic, right? And it's showing that you're doing your due diligence to properly understand and care about their business. You should only be talking 20-30% of the time on this call at all. So some tips and tricks that I have, if someone's talking lots, psychologically we know that if someone goes, yep, yep, yep. So if you say yes a few times, most people's brains should trigger that they should wrap up what they're saying. That doesn't always work. The other part is sometimes I'll just say, hey, Laura, sorry to interrupt you. I've got a hard stop at 10:30 and I just want to make sure that I understand everything. Thank you for answering that. That makes sense. And then ask the next question. And so sometimes you do just have to gently interrupt them if they're not giving you the right information.
Yeah, totally. And people, I don't do our sales calls anymore, but when I was doing our sales calls, at the top, I'd be like, hey, like for this initial call, I'd be like, cool, I've got 15 minutes. I want to make sure we cover it because I can talk too. And so I was like, really like, I want to make sure we get everything covered. I've got 15 minutes, then I've got another call straight after you. So let's dive in. I'm going to like you're kind of like letting them know, like, we're going to cut to the chase. I'm going to be pretty direct because I want to help you. And so it's a bit like they then go, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, no, she's only got 15 minutes. And also, because the person who is busier and who has more stuff in their calendar can sometimes hold a bit more of the power in the dynamic. And not that we're trying to like hold power or whatever. But I think there's something really cool about being like, I got a hard stop at this time and then I'm going to have to go. That triggers something in the prospect's mind that they're like, oh, Alicia's busy. Like she's got stuff. Like she's got other people that she's having this same conversation with. Like she be busy. And that's actually a good energy for the prospect to have.
Then what you would have done on this call is you booked them in for call number 2, which will be in about 2 to 3 days' time. You never, even with your clients, you never let them off the call without the next call being booked in. What I do then is I have a beautiful proposal that's all done and I send them a customized video walking through it. I can't go everything in the proposal right now, but the point of this is you're showing them that you have a custom solution for them. That's the whole point. And you're attaching it back to the big dream outcome and the big problem they want to achieve. That's what we want to do. The other thing that you're basically doing is creating a bespoke, personalized VSL. That's what you've just done. So mine go for like 10 to 17 minutes. I've never had somebody complain or be like, man, I didn't have time to watch that, because they're spending a lot of money with me.
Yeah.
They want to know what the plan is, and this is what helps them. So then before that next call, if somebody hasn't watched it, because I can see that on Loom, I will reschedule the call. I will not take that call, and I can see if they've watched it or not, because what are we going to talk about? You're meant to watch that video, and I respect my time. So and I work with busy founders, so they're always like, yeah, thank you so much. Do you mind if we just move it an hour back or to the next day? No problems. Then on that call, I just say, okay, so Laurie, you've had between now and that last call, I've created your game plan. You've watched that video. This call is really all about you to ask any questions and to get into the weeds before we get started. And because like if they're on that call, they want to work with you, right? So they're going to have a few questions that's going to be like hyper personalized to them. And then there's always this thing at the end where I'm like, all right, so you in? And then Laura's like, yeah, I'm in. And I'm like, woohoo, welcome to Persuasion Experience. I can't wait to work with you. And then I'll tell them what the next steps are. And then that's the sale. Now, this works. It will dramatically condense your lead to sales time. I have coached so many agency owners to implement this, even ones that have had their agency for 10 or 11 years. And they were like, holy crap, my sales now are happening in 2 to 3 days instead of 5 weeks. So trust me, if you install something that's even similar to this, it will help you so much.
That is so cool. I love the 2-call close. I think that's really, really cool too. What's the length of time that you're allowing for those 2 calls?
So the duration of the call, the first call is 30 minutes. And that's all but like it takes practice to get there. And then some people give or take. And then that second call is also 30 minutes. Now, the caveat to this is sometimes I need 3 calls because the person's problem and solution is not as clear, or they're a bigger whale client that I think we need more time in scoping. And then I would have a middle in-depth scoping call, and that's the only change that I would make to that process.
That's amazing. That's really, really cool. So we've got the lead funnel, we've got the sales funnel. Can we talk through the third funnel, which is the client onboarding experience, that funnel?
Yes, we can. It's my favorite topic and I'm totally obsessed with it at the moment. So I'm hardcore studying a lot of hospitality, and here's why. I'm reading this great book if anybody wants to book a club with me, but it's called Unreasonable Hospitality. It's freaking awesome.
I knew you were going to say
one
that.
Of the key.
I just started reading it too. It's behind me somewhere. Yes. Did you watch The Bear?
So good.
Did you watch The Bear and see it?
The Bear?
The Bear TV show and see it on there?
No.
Oh, okay.
So back to unreasonable hospitality and the big takeaway when it comes to your fulfillment. It's not what you serve, it's how you serve it. So when I think about this, anybody can get ads, right? The ads is the commodity. You can go to any bro on Upwork or Fiverr or any agency and you can get ads. But the real value is in the experience of working with me and my agency. It's that. We're going to get you results, but it's going to be fun and smooth and easy and very premium prestige for a very affordable price. That's the vibe I'm trying to give. It's not what you serve, it's how you serve it. So what do you all need to do? We need to map out our customer journey every day. Then what you can start to do is go, they all, like, people keep complaining or having this question on this time. Cool. Well, let's go back a couple of steps and let's never have that problem again. So we post-mortem, it's a bit morbid, isn't it? We post-mortem all of our clients and all of our projects. And for my team, we have a very set structure and system. And anytime they feel friction or anytime a client experience isn't 10 out of 10 amazing, they put it in my beautiful little ClickUp board and we fix it. But what happens, what we first need to do in this phase, this fulfillment phase, is you have the onboarding. How do you make that as smooth as possible? How do you get everything from the client when there's momentum and they're excited? We have everything planned out and I've written every email, everything's done. We send a WWE GIF that says your competitors and then their business, like a competitor name, their name in the first email. They get a gift on like day 5 to, it depends where they live and how long the gift takes, but like day 5 to 12, they'll get their gift, their welcome gift, branded welcome gift, the kickoff call. Every day, especially in that onboarding, is immaculately planned out so that everybody has a really consistent, beautiful experience with us. And then everything else is mapped out. They have weekly catch-ups, they have weekly updates, what we did last week, what we're doing this week, any blockers and any wins. We're always communicating the wins. We have monthly marketing and sales sync, which is a fun creative session to come up with the next ad concepts. And then we have 90-day game plans. So this is the thing that you can all take away for your fulfillment. When we're agencies or creatives or service providers, people are always looking for something new. And that's why they're going to go sniff around and go and find something. It's just like a relationship with a loved one. You got to keep it fresh and spicy, not just having dates at the start, right? You got to keep it fun and exciting during the whole process. How I've done this, and I haven't necessarily seen agencies do this specifically, and I've been working in agencies for about 10 years, is we have a 90-day game plan, a proactive strategy where the client says to us, this is my goal this quarter. The business's goals guide the marketing. We go, awesome. We go away, we create the 90-day game plan, and we say, Laura, this is how we're going to help you hit those objectives this week, month by month. It may change. We've got to be agile. And then every week you're getting that update. And then we're launching new ads and it just always feels new and exciting and like something's going on. We're always reselling the client. We're always communicating the value of what we're doing. Because if you don't tell them, they don't know and they assume you're dummies. So you got to tell them.
Oh my gosh, that's so true. And that I think it takes so little to make the experience excellent. It just takes a bit of like zooming out and going, what are the big challenges? What are the parts of the process that feel confusing to the client or feel really overwhelming, or there's too much stuff for them to do? And like after the purchase, they're so vulnerable. They're in this little, I've just spent a lot of money. I'm nervous. I don't know, like, have I made the right decision? They start questioning themselves. And so we really, that process of making them feel really safe and really like, hey, we got you. We're going to look after you. And then I love what you said about communicating the wins back to them, because people forget the progress that they make. And they think, that like maybe their goal is, I want to hit 100K months in this funnel. I just want to use this funnel to hit 100K months. And then they hit 100K months and then they're like, cool, the next goal is 200K. And they forget that like 6 months ago, you were at 50K a month and you were relying on launches to sell this offer. And then they start to get funny and you're like, actually, it's because we haven't communicated. Look at where you started. Look at how far you've come. This is a win. And we as humans, we're just not great at celebrating our progress. So I think it's really good to hold up that mirror and go, hey, look at how far you've come. This is amazing. We're going to do all this stuff, but I just want you to know how far you've come. I think that's just so smart and like underrated. We don't think it, we kind of think, oh, that's nice, a pat on the back, but it's really strategic as well.
Exactly. And that word safe, exactly. How do you make them feel safe? That's the main thing. And just to underline what you said, somebody's just agreed to spend a lot of money with you, and a lot is subjective. It could be 1,000, it could be 500, it could be 50,000. But there's always that post-purchase dissonance afterwards, right? So that's what we want to try and eradicate in a really smooth onboarding process. Now, do you know why the number one reason is that somebody leaves an agency, like why a client cancels? It's not results. That's what most people think it is. It's not results. It's communication and a lack of proactive strategy. So I've onboarded easily at least 600 clients into agencies over the years. And they've often worked with other agencies before, right? Quote, I've been burnt to a crisp. And it wasn't necessarily results. It was that their account manager or the person they were working with, whether you're a freelancer or an agency, you didn't do proactive communication and you didn't have a proactive strategy and a game plan to show them where you're going to take them. And this is the thing, right? You're driving them somewhere. So they can be blindfolded with no map and you can just be like, oh shit, take the left turn, because that's how a lot of people operate. Or you can sit them down before the drive, you can show them where they're going to go, and then you can even drive for them and tell them when to turn and what to do. And that's the difference in the experience for people to think about.
That is so, so important. And I haven't heard people speak about this customer experience side of things in relation to funnels, but I think it's so important. If we're making the sales experience really considered, really intentional, we definitely need to be doing it once they sign up as well, because it feels like a weird bait and switch if it feels the onboarding feels clunky, but the sales process and the marketing process is beautiful and smooth and on point. It feels like this weird, really weird parallel that makes the customers go, oh, they're really not on it. Once you sign, they're like, peace out. We don't want that. We don't want that vibe. But we can also automate a lot of it as well, which I think is really cool to think about. Alicia, you have added so much value, and I feel like it's like been like a masterclass this call. So I'm so grateful for having you on the show. Where can people connect with you more? Because I know people are going to want to check out your agency, see more about the work that you do, and just follow you for more content. Where can people connect with you?
Yes. So the best way is to learn how to spell my name, which is really hard. It's a lot of people struggle. Alicia Conlin-Hurd. I'm sure it'll be in some guest notes somewhere. I've got some hang-ups from primary school with some wrong spellings and some wrong pronunciations. But LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube. YouTube is my main one that I'm really growing. I like the talky talk more than the righty write. And I'm showing everything that we're doing and giving away as much value as humanly possible to help our mission to help 10 million service-based businesses to grow their business. So if you ever have a question or you're stuck on something, send me a message. That's how I come up with most of my YouTube content.
Amazing. And where can people check out the agency side of things? Because I know people are going to want to.
Yes, because I am not my business, and the business is a separate entity. Good one, Laura. So the business is persuasionexperience.com. Persuasionexperience.com. Another thing that's hard to spell. It took me a long time to get my email address right on the muscle memory typing, but persuasionexperience.com, that's got everything on there to check us out.
Hey, thank you so much for joining us. It's been such a pleasure to hang out with you.
Thank you for letting me rant about funnels. I appreciate you.